Welcome to Eranos. I am Riccardo Bernardini, Scientific Secretary of the Eranos Foundation, and I am delighted to invite you to the symposium Jung's Red Book for Our Time, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions, to be held at Eranos and Monte Verità, Ascona, Switzerland, from April 27th to May 1st, 2022. The Congress is jointly organized by the Eranos Foundation, Pacifica Graduate Institute, the International Association for Analytical Psychology, and the Associazione per la ricerca in psicologia analitica. The Eranos Cultural Center was created in Ascona in 1933, thanks to Olga Fröbe-Kaptein, as a meeting place between East and West. The model took the form of a series of annual conferences of interdisciplinary and international nature. It was mainly thanks to the Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung that the Eranos meetings were directed towards the study of the archetypes, those fundamental structures of the human psyche that, despite the processes of civilization, seem to maintain constant their basic features. Lively interested for dialogue around the major themes that cross cultures, as well as for the problematic issues of our times, Eranos today continues its activities in collaboration with the universities and cultural institutions worldwide. It is in this perspective that with Joseph Cambray and Murray Stein, we thought that the historical site of Eranos and Monte Verità in Ascona could be the ideal place for hosting this Congress and for addressing the following question. Can we find value, and how, individually and collectively, in Jung's Red Book for a time like ours, which is so deeply overcast by the world shadow? The coronavirus pandemic inevitably shadowed all our thoughts as we prepared this symposium. On an even larger scale, we recognize that we are facing a world historical transition in human culture, without the guidance traditionally offered by the collective myths. A similar mood of deep anxiety about the future overshadowed the world when Jung began working on his Red Book in 1913. His approach to the problems presented by the spirit of his times may also have a significance for our times. We believe that the Red Book may have the potential to offer guidance for people living under the disruptive conditions of the first half of the 21st century. This potential will be explored by the speakers and participants in this symposium. Thanks for your attention, and see you in Ascona in 2022.
Hello, my name is Joe Cambray. I'm President and CEO at Pacifica Graduate Institute, and it's my great pleasure to give a brief introduction to the speakers for the Eranos 2022 Symposium, Jung's Red Book for Our Times, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions. Several years ago, I joined Murray Stein, Thomas Artz, and Riccardo Bernardini in conceiving this symposium. We wanted a broad representation from the scholarly Jungian community in accord with the august traditions of Eranos, with its long, illustrious history hosting renowned scholars and analysts. C.G. Jung himself gave 14 prepared talks, as well as one impromptu seminar here between 1933 and 1951. These were highly creative pieces on topics such as a study in the process of individuation, the psychological aspects of the Great Mother, synchronicity, and many, many more. Jung used the opportunity to engage with a diverse range of luminaries from multiple fields, from quantum physics to biology, comparative religions, theology, and on and on and on. His innovative prowess ignited cross-disciplinary discourses, perhaps a precursor of contemporary transdisciplinary explorations. It was in the spirit of Eranos that we approached our potential speakers and arrived at the 19 presenters from around the world who will join us, many of whom have already contributed to the volumes Murray Stein mentioned in his introduction. Excuse me. All of the contributions presented here will be new, previously unpublished works. Together, they will form a conference dedicated to the relevancy of C.G. Jung's vision for the 21st century. Our speakers include, in alphabetic order, Stephen Eisenstadt, Riccardo Bernardini, Paul Bishop, myself, Linda Carter, Al Collins, Len Cruz, Thomas Fisher, Nancy Swift-Ferlati, Toshio Kawai, Romano Madera, Christine Maillard, Frank McMillan III, Robert Mercurio, Elaine Molchanova, Lance Owens, Hyung Shen, Leslie Stein, and Murray Stein. All published authors in the field, each with his own or their own area of expertise. You can find the titles of their talks on the web pages devoted to this symposium. In the time since we initially envisioned the conference, the world has changed dramatically. We needed to postpone the conference due to the pandemic from the novel coronavirus, making nearly all travel impossible. Rather than convert to an online event, we felt holding the symposium in the actual environment Jung gave the presentations was vital, forming part of the psychological ecology of the experience of attending the event. Thus, our postponement until 2022. To give a taste of what is to come, we have asked presenters to consider providing brief recorded introductions to their talks, which are available to you along with our introductions. The postponement has also had some fascinating consequences. Most pertinent has been the release of the long-awaited Black Books. As these cast new light on various topics through insights into what has been edited out or added in, we have asked our presenters to consider including relevant materials from these books in their reflections on our conference theme. We are anticipating a very lively time at the symposium and look forward with delight at the prospect of your joining us. Until then, thank you and goodbye.
I'm Murray Stein, and I would like to say a few words by way of invitation to the Eranos Symposium of 2022 on Jung's Red Book for Our Time, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions. When Thomas Arzt and I sat down to think through and design the concept for this series of essays, now run to 4 volumes with 70 authors contributing, we didn't have a specific idea of what the authors should write about, except that we wanted them to address the question, does Jung's Red Book have value for people who are struggling with the issues of postmodernity in our time? This would be a hermeneutical enterprise, interpreting and using Jung's Red Book as a guide for the struggles that people are undergoing today. individually, culturally, nationally, and so on. And we thought of this as a kind of fishing expedition. We threw out the lines to see what would come back, and we were very surprised and very pleased that so many of our colleagues answered affirmatively that they would be interested in contributing. And so that's how this series of essays came about. We asked them to speak to the topic of the Red Book for our time, saying, with your help, we want to evaluate the importance of the Red Book and its potential value as a resource in our postmodern world. Essays were allowed to range in perspective from clinical to theoretical to cultural, religious, and so on. And we have a wide variety of authors who have contributed from many different perspectives. The culmination of this whole effort will take place in 2022 at the end of May in Ascona, where we will have a symposium, a concluding symposium on this subject, and the speakers' contributions to that will be published in the 5th volume, the Quinta Essentia. Why Eranos? This was a dream shared by myself and Thomas Arzt, that Eranos would be a fitting place as a capstone for this reflection on Jung's monumental work, the Red Book. Jung named the place a genius loci, a protected space, a space of genius where people come together to discuss important cultural and spiritual issues of our time by looking back to traditions that have dealt with similar issues in the past. And this, of course, was Jung's way to deal with the issues of his time. So we will look to our speakers to confront these questions and to offer us further perspective and further guidance. Very much looking forward to this culminating event that unfortunately Thomas Arzt will not be able to attend in the flesh, hopefully in the spirit, since he passed away this past year, Easter 2020, unexpectedly and very surprisingly. But it was his dream to bring this topic to Eranos and to have a full and spiritually energized discussion of Jung's Red Book for our time, searching for soul under postmodern conditions. I look forward to seeing a good audience there. And those of you who are viewing this, you are very welcome to join with us in 2022. Thank you.